Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan El-Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. When we're talking about building your own business and kind of starting from scratch and stuff, I know that, we've had the experiences of taking literally the brick and mortar business, and whether it is, a retail business, a consulting business, whatever it is. And we worked in real estate as well. And then moving into the new world and the new online businesses. And it's amazing. And it's amazing the differences, but still people don't understand the amount of effort and work that goes into it.
Yes, and I think I didn't realize the amount of work that goes into doing a virtual business, or having a virtual, being existent in the virtual space. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of easy ways to reach.
They're shortcuts, but they're not sustainable. Yeah,
exactly. But it's again about, do we want to have something real, or do you want to just be like, yeah, I have 10,000 followers, or I have this and that, and they're not real, they're not interactive, they're not getting a benefit, they're not really following you.
That is the point.
If you're doing it because you want to benefit people, so I don't care if there are only 100 people following me, and these 100 are actually getting a message or learning something, or transforming in some way just because of one video or one message I put. I'd rather that than have 10,000 followers and none of them actually listen to what I say.
because that is exactly it. I mean, I know that we as individuals come from a place, because of our journey, now we come from a place of service, and we come from a place of, I'm here to add value to people's lives. And people underestimate that, not because we're in a service business, but also those that are product-based. That product, if it adds value, if it brings a smile, if it makes someone feel good, that is value that you're adding to people's lives. So for me, yes, I would prefer to have 10 people who value what I'm saying, who can have something added to their life, who can think differently, because, I've transitioned all about mindset now. I thought just by equipping women to understand business that was enough, but equipping them, going to the why, like Simon Sinek says, and everyone actually says, if they don't have the why, if they don't understand why they're doing this, if they don't understand what is the value they're adding to themselves and to others, if they don't understand how they can come from a place of service and how they can sustain this business, then there's no point having tens of thousands of followers, because your message is diluted and your message is not genuine.
Exactly. And it's not about, and this, the number of followers or the number of people that are, this does not really say how good or not good you are. This has nothing to do with that. There are people that, this is something you grow over time, and it's a set of skills that we've been learning. I've personally been learning and growing. And you get better at it, and you understand what, how to, the reason you want to grow your following it's because you want your message to reach. Exactly. You want your message to reach more people. You want more people to benefit. You want to, sometimes I want people to tell me what are the topics that they are struggling with? What are the areas where they want me to focus? Because I come up with things based on what's happening with me, with my life, with my clients. Maybe sometimes I find a trend, and then I use that,
Same here.
Okay, obviously a lot of people are, struggling with this, so let's talk about this. But the more people are interacting and saying, oh, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Then, or, ask questions, then that's when the conversation starts. It's just like, with us, you ask a question, I'm like, oh, yeah. And then it just starts a whole new topic.
And that's a beautiful thing is also we've had decades, I hate to say it that way, but we've had decades of experience that we'd love to share the knowledge, and not, the sharing is not about dictating what you should be doing. This is not it's not a recipe, and this is sharing for guidelines. And guidelines means that these are the kind of learnings we got. Now you get to create your own path. You get to create your own recipe of what works for you. And that is also very important, because like, you know, on my Facebook group, and you know how I go like with the lives, I'm like, what do people want to hear? And lately, like, I'm like, okay, the algorithm is not, the gods of the algorithm are not in my favor. So I'm not getting a lot of interaction there, but I'm like, ladies, please tell me how can I add value to you? What are the topics you're interested in? So when I found that people were like talking about stress, and it was like, you know, what are your level of stress? And they kept saying 500 rather than, you know, 1 to 10. I was only 1 to 10. I'm like, okay. So I took the time, and I'm like, I love this. And I took the time to go through my notes again, organize my thoughts, and make sure that I created a whole live just about stress, the impacts, what it is, and adding value to them, so they walk away with a bit more knowledge, and with some techniques and some strategies that can help them, and then they could see what works for them. Same about, you know, loving your body and your relationship with your body and with food. And then for me, it's like, okay, this is too personal, I'm gonna do this.
Exactly.
I've been there, still there.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, that if you are just like automating and you're just putting out posts and no interaction and stuff, so what are you adding? And I know some haters are going to come and say, yeah, that's what people with no followers would say. But
it's easy to buy. Yeah, exactly. So it's not hard for me or you to go buy, you know.
Exactly. Of course.
A few thousand.
We can hire people to do that for us.
And
do people who manage it. But we take time to really put our message out in a way that is personalized, in a way that fits, and knowing that whoever presses that follow is not just a troll, is not someone who's going to come and say all the hate messages. It's someone who saw something that they enjoyed and they could get benefit from, even if they don't interact. And I've made peace with that idea as well, that even if my post gets no interaction, that doesn't mean it hasn't reached people. It doesn't mean that people didn't get
Not everyone is about doing a like. They might really like it, and they just, I'm like, oh yeah, that's really nice, and then they just move on.
Exactly.
It's fine. I mean, I know that it takes a while in the beginning to kind of get used to that.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I wear. And then I'm like, it's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's all about, you know, if one person, I can make a difference in one person's life, that's all I need. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, knowing that you positively impacted another person's life, I think that is the most beautiful gift that you could ever have. But it is important, and that's why I wanted us to keep rolling, because we went into that conversation and to keep the conversation going. It is important to understand that the misconceptions of the quick gains and the quick success and the overnight success, and people posting, you know, on all the groups, and we're in a few groups that ourselves in common, that people are posting kind of their dashboards in Stripe and PayPal, and oh my God, I woke up to, I don't know how many thousands of dollars in my account, and all of that. That is giving the impression to people that it is easy, it is quick, and you could all do it. Well, in essence, everyone can do it.
Everyone can.
But understanding why you're doing it, understanding there's a sustainability for the business, understanding what your product or service clarity is. I've been in this a few years, and I'm still clarifying my product on a daily, my service on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So
how many times did I tell you I'm working on that again? I'm redefining.
But that's a beautiful thing, because we are listening, because we want to make sure that whatever we are offering, like, you know, Tony Robbins says, stop falling in love with your product or service, fall in love with your ideal client or customer, because we want to solve their pains, and we want to help them understand what it is and be able to be empowered to deal with them themselves. And that's why we have to keep revisiting. I mean, from my perspective, I've got at least 10 programs. I'm like, people need this. And I sit and write the whole thing and stuff. And then I realize, okay, maybe not. Maybe I thought they did. But it is understanding that. And it is it is to stop falling in the trap that overnight success exists. Overnight success takes years.
It's
And takes hard work, and takes perseverance. It takes grit.
Yeah.
It takes consistency.
Yeah.
And that is the message. I mean, the younger generation, my son, you know, he's 9 years old, and he's following some YouTubers who do the games and stuff. And and one day he's like, "Mommy, you suck." I'm like, "Okay, that's not nice to tell you." I'm like, "Why, honey? Why?" And he's like, "Because at that point, I just like, I think I had like 3 people following on my YouTube channel. It's like, you've only got 3 people. And I'm like, He's like, "I don't know who I'm watching." And he's got like, I don't know, 2 million followers on his YouTube channel. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going to talk about the value he's actually creating. You have to understand something, that this guy, he did not get 2 million followers overnight. He has been for about 10 years. Yeah. And he has been doing it on a daily basis. And he's spending hours upon hours doing this. This is his job now. And thus, accordingly, you have to understand that mommy does not do that. Mommy's not a YouTuber. Mommy has to actually interact with human beings and serve them in that sense. But it is that, it's having that misconception. Like, he wants to have his own YouTube channel. I'm like, first of all, no social media. He's not allowed on social media until maybe he's 12. I'm like, because there are a lot of people out there and we don't know who you're interacting with and everything of that. But also to make sure that he can manage his expectations. So if someone says a negative comment, he's not impacted, does not traumatize him. That if he does not get an interaction, that he does not feel that affects his worthiness. That these things people don't think about. They just think, I want to go online and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to have my own home. I'm going to make a lot of money and stuff. And please, someone, it's that bubble. It's not going to happen that way. And it could in the short term, but can you actually maintain it? Can you sustain this? Can you keep providing products and services that people need 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? You know, we all know the statistics, 90 to 95% of businesses won't last past the 10-year mark.
Yes.
That is a fact. People don't see that. They're like, okay, so what's the next big thing? Let me do that. That's trendy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all the new generation wants to, be an influencer or a YouTuber or, this or that. And it sounds easy and it looks easy. Yes. And some of them, they make some of them make it look like it's like, a glowy, it's very shiny, from the outside. But they do put a lot of effort. Yeah, I know, but they do a lot of, just for them to put these tutorials on the YouTube and keep up the Instagram. This is a full-time job. They do spend a lot of time and effort. And some of them they have like help and companies that helping them put these things together, because it's it is a job.
And that's the reality check that I just want, especially the younger generation who want to create something, and something flashy in that sense, as you said, just to understand that, yes, it is glamorous on the outside, but you're only seeing, you're only getting an immersion of 5 to 10 minutes of their whole 24 hours. The rest of the day, what are they doing? The rest of the day, how are they feeling? What are their thoughts?
Are they happy?
What are they prepping? Yeah. Exactly. What are they what's the work behind the scenes to get to that 5 to 10 minutes that you see on a daily basis? And that is the important thing. But more importantly, copying someone does not take you too far. Mm-hmm. You have to come as a genuine copy of yourself, because there's only one of you, with your worldview lens, with your experiences, with your looks, with everything. And that is something that we still also, it's getting lost in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and there's no two people the same way. There is a coach that used to say, if there was a one way for everything, you would find one diet book, one book for everything in life. That's it. It would be just done.
Yeah, and that would be boring.
Yeah, how many marketing books are there? Whatever. How many diet books are there? I mean, there's so many ways, and there's so many trends, and everyone brings into whatever they read or whatever they adapt their own uniqueness, and it becomes something new. and it becomes, and if they take it genuinely, then, you know, use it in the right way, then they can actually be successful and they can create something new.
Yeah. Like I'm seeing it, you know how Tony Robbins always speaks that Jim Rohn was his first mentor, that he went to all his seminars and learned everything. And then he went out and found his way of delivering a lot of the same content, but then building up as he went. And I find myself, I think I was just reflecting on this a few days ago. I find myself, you know, kind of, because I've been immersed in Tony Robbins' world for so long, that I find myself using a lot of his content, but also bringing my flair and but my angle to it, and realizing that, you know, I can deliver it in a completely new thing, because I've also got my knowledge base. I've also got my set of experience. I've also got my certifications, and that lets me see the same message from a completely different perspective. And then I can even tailor it further to the women I know that I'm interacting with or within my impact circle. And that is the beautiful thing, that, you know, the saying, stand on the shoulder of giants. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you are your version of that giant, that you become that. You can never be a copy of the same thing.
Exactly. The copies don't last, just like you said.
Yeah. It's like Multiplicity. Remember that movie, Multiplicity?
Yeah.
It was hilarious. That was like the copy of a copy. Turned out completely retarded. But anyway, that's not politically correct. But he was flawed.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just hope that some people get a few extra messages here, that at the end of the day, I think our experience has confirmed and reaffirmed to us that you can literally create and go after whatever your heart and mind want.
Wow.
It's just that you have to understand that you have to be clear about what it is that you want, and you have to be consistent in your efforts, and you have to unlearn, relearn new things. We've learned that transitioning from from formal
corporate
to
yes,
the virtual world. And there are things that,
and also try different things. I mean, it doesn't the first 10 things are not going to work, the first trials, and it's okay. And there's always, I think that's
learn something out of each of them, so it's never a failure. It's always,
and that's when your creativity turns on, because I think if everything works from the first or second time, then it's going to be like, yeah, you don't need to really get creative because it's just working. So it's when things don't work, and then you start saying, okay, this didn't work. It's very easy to say, oh, nothing works. Well, nothing is usually 5-6 methods. And that's when you started getting creative, because you're like, okay, what else can I do? How else, you know, what other ways I can try? And that's when you think outside of the box. And that's when it starts working. And at least in my experience, it's like, that's when it's like, ooh, that clicked.
Finally. But I think it's the most gratifying and fulfilling part of it is the discovery. Of the journey. It's a discovery part, and it is trying and kind of, you know, like the alchemy and the chemistry lab, and it's trying new things and seeing if they will work or they will click or not, and do they align with you or not. And sometimes I like, you know, a lot of people keep telling me, why aren't you just in business? Why aren't you just a business coach? I mean, this is what you do. This is what you excel at and stuff. I'm like, yeah, and I love it. And I spent a lot of years getting all the certifications related to it. But that's only part of me now, because the bigger part with me realizing that I needed to grow alongside that. I needed to shift my mindset. I need to take care of my health and my wellness to be able to be a better business person, to be able to realize that I can come from that place afterward. So for me, that became possibly phase 2 or 3. And I can't just offer part of me and hold the rest back. I have to offer this cocktail. I have to just give this collage of things, put it together. And that is the unique thing about me. I mean, you want just a business coach to tell you we want a business plan? There are millions out there. And you can actually, you don't even need people. You can get a template off the internet and you can create one for you. But you want someone who would talk to you about business and then realize a limiting belief you have, and then talk about what are your healthy habits for the morning, or encouraging you to, you know, kind of explore physical activity. Yeah, that's me. And I could do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's not everyone else. So
Yeah. So it's that acceptance as well, and that appreciation as well. I think that we personally, it took us a while to understand that we need to appreciate everything leading us up to this point. And I think when we reached that point is when beautiful things started happening, just because I accept all of me, and now I can move on.
And you learn from all of these things. You learn from, your growth makes a difference. And that goes back to enjoy the moment, because all these experiences are what actually becomes the joy. So if you just did it and you didn't really enjoy what you were doing, you didn't ground yourself when you were doing it. And that's what I was like, I guess, what was I missing in my life? And that's what I started enjoying now. So even the disappointment, it has a different feeling, because I'm just like, okay, I'm feeling it differently. I'm not feeling it as a disappointment. I'm feeling it as a learning. And I'm like, okay, let's analyze this. How can it be done differently? I know something is right, but something is missing. It becomes more enjoyable rather than a problem or a burden.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the impromptu end of the conversation. That was not planned, but I think I'm loving this, and I think this is going to be something consistent in every episode. We do the first part, and then we keep the camera rolling, and let's see what comes up with it. So
cool, that's nice.
Conversation.
So that would be unique about your podcast.
Yes. Apparently, we're going to have like a podcast and then a follow-up podcast episode. So.
That's nice.
That's the part about creating something that is unique to yours.
Exactly.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much
for being here and for having this conversation. And I can't wait to have you back again. I'm sure we've got hours upon hours. I know, because we're conversing hours upon hours, but I'm sure we can extract more hours and a lot more value for people in our follow-up discussions.
Definitely. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananelbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.